Welcome back to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. I'm Ollie Hayes, and today I'll be doing the starting 11 show for Everton versus Manchester United on Saturday at Old Trafford at 12:30. So let's get straight into it. Starting in goal, Jordan Pickford for me. I don't really need to say much more. Jordan Pickford is one of our best players on his best days, and his distribution and his shot stopping will be key for us to try and get a result at Old Trafford. Moving on to the defence, Vitaly Mikalenko has to start at left back for me. I think he's a player that's gone from strength to strength this season. And, we saw the first time, the first few games he had at the club, he really struggled, but he's really now starting to find that form, starting to find that defensive form. And he is starting to hone his attacking skills as well. He's starting to get to a situation where he's helping us going forward a little bit more. So, yeah, Vitaly Mikalenko starting at left back. Two centre halves, Jared Branthwaite and James Tarkowski for me. I think Jared Branthwaite's the key for us on Saturday. We've seen it so many times this season. Jared Branthwaite bailing us out. His pace, his power. I think he's probably our biggest threat of stopping Marcus Rashford. And with the potential absence of Rasmus Højlund, I think Marcus Rashford will be Manchester United's talisman on Saturday. And Branthwaite's got that pace to try and keep up with Rashford and try and stop him from getting in behind. So yeah, that's the key centre half for me. And then James Tarkowski, his power in tackling and stuff, I think he is going to be key when trying to nullify the threat of Bruno Fernandes. I think Fernandez likes time on the ball. He likes space on the ball to try and pick out those killer passes. And James Tarkowski, if he can get out and set that press and get out and make a tackle early doors, I think that will really set the standard for us. Moving on to full back, right back, I would probably go with Ben Godfrey. And I know that might raise a few eyebrows with a few Evertonians, considering his performance at Old Trafford last season. I think his defensive awareness was massively caught out with Anthony running in behind. And you do have to be wary with Ben Godfrey in that position, because we know he hasn't got the defensive awareness of say Jared Branthwaite or James Tarkowski, and playing fullback as well. It's not his natural position. He is normally a centre half. So for me, Ben Godfrey has to start there. I think the recovery pace is a key for me. If it was to be Marcus Rashford, if it was to be Anthony or even Garnacho, Godfrey has all the minerals, all the pace attributes to go toe to toe with them too. And I think for me, he has to start at right back. I would probably have started Seamus Coleman if he was fully fit, but yeah, for me, Ben Godfrey has to be the one in there with just for his tackling ability and his recovery pace there. I think, Manchester United have a very quick counter-attacking team. So if we are cut up the pitch, Ben Godfrey's recovery pace there will be key for us. Moving into midfield, obviously today we heard that Idrissa Gana is probably not going to be fully fit for the trip to Old Trafford. So that's a little bit disappointing. I think he would have been probably in my starting 11 there with his just how well he recovers the ball in midfield, and just how progressive he is from turning defensive into attack. We know he can't shoot. We know he's not the greatest going forward in front of goal, but the work he does off the ball and the things that midfielders do quietly, he does very, very well. So I think he will be a big miss on Saturday. But the midfield three, I'll start with James Garner. And I know James on the Toffee Blues recently has come under a little bit of stick for calling out James Garner. I would agree a little bit to an extent against West Ham. He didn't have his greatest game. He wasn't offering enough. A great assist for the goal for Beto's goal against West Ham. A great cross. It's our first open play goal, I think, since Manchester City on the 27th of December. So that was good to see. Creativity, I think, is a big thing for us, and we need it on Saturday. I think turning defense into attack. I said Idrissa Gana was so good at doing that. I think James Garner has to step up, so he will be my first midfielder. Another player who's very progressive is Amadou Onana, and he has to start in midfield for me on Saturday. Probably our best player on his day is Amadou Onana, and I think against Manchester City and against Crystal Palace in those two games especially, he really showed that he has got quality on the ball. Taking the ball into feet. First thing he did was look up and try to play that pass, and think that in a game against Manchester United, we're not going to see a lot of the ball. We go to these top six teams so often and don't see a lot of the ball. So when we do have the ball at feet, we need to make sure that we're quick on the counter attack and make sure we're creating good opportunities. And I think Amadou Onana is a real centerpiece to that. So yeah, for me, Amadou Onana has to start in midfield, and then a little bit further ahead, I'd go with Abdoulaye Doucouré. Listen, we know he's going to start on Saturday. Dyche likes him in that system. His fitness hasn't been great of late. I think he's struggling to come back from that injury just to get back to the full fitness that we've seen before Christmas and how well he was playing before Christmas in this system. But for me, Doucouré, again, setting the press in a system, he's very good at what he does. So I think he could definitely hurt Manchester United in that. And Manchester United are a team very similar to us at home. Probably on a larger scale. They've got more quality than us, of course, but they don't like to have the ball. They like to play as the away team at home and play on that counter attacking football. So Doucouré setting that press, if they might panic if they've got the ball at feet. So I think Doucouré is key for that. So my midfield three would be Onana, James Garner, and Abdoulaye Doucouré. And probably the most hotly contested part of the team is the attack. I'll start on the wings. McNeil, I think, has to be in there for me. Hasn't had, the form of last season of late. He's been a little bit poor. Was unlucky not to score against West Ham on Saturday. Probably should have took his chance, the one that Jack Harrison squared to him. But McNeil again, a good defensive winger, will be able to help Mikalenko on that left hand side, and I feel like them two are forming a little bit of a partnership, and you know it'll be good to see them, back to what they were towards the back end of the season last year. And yeah, for me, McNeil has to be in the starting 11 for me. I think he's one that's one of those wingers that's undroppable, and we haven't really got many options on the wing anyway. Off the right hand side, I'll probably go with Jack Harrison, just because we found out today that Dan Juma is getting close to full fitness, but he's not going to be available for Manchester United. I think we'll probably look at the Bournemouth game on the 30th of March for his return, and potentially, I mean, we don't know if we'll see him in an Everton shirt again. We never know. But for me, yeah, Jack Harrison will be the starting right winger on Saturday against Manchester United. He can offer us something. He's a good defensive winger, as I said with McNeil. He works well in a system. It's just, can we get a little bit more out of him? We signed him in the back end of the summer transfer window, and we haven't really seen what we were promised. I think a lot of people saw Jack Harrison coming to Everton with a lot of creativity, had a decent season with Leeds, can offer goals, assists, and he has done that. He has offered various goals and assists, but can we have a bit more? On the ball on Saturday, we're going to have to be razor sharp and counter attack, and can we turn defense into attack very quickly? And Jack Harrison needs to step up and be able to do that. And moving on to striker, this is probably going to be the most hotly contested position on the pitch. We saw Beto start against West Ham on Saturday for the first time in a long time, and there's question marks between him and Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who's going to offer us the best. I'm going to stick with Beto. I'm going to go with Beto as our starting striker on Saturday, purely because he's got his goal, something that Dominic Calvert-Lewin hasn't done in since October. And for me, if you take Beto out the team, it sets a dangerous precedent, because Beto scored. I know he missed a penalty, and I know he didn't really offer much apart from his goal, but Beto is up there to score goals, and that's what we need between now and the end of the season. And if Beto is taken out of the team for Dominic Calvert-Lewin, I think it sets a bit of a tone in the squad where, even if Beto's scoring, it doesn't mean he's guaranteeing a place, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin can come back in. So for me, I'd go with Beto. I think his pacing behind, his unpredictability can hurt Manchester United. I think him and Amadou Onana combining, as I said before, Manchester United are a team that don't really like to have the ball at home. They would rather play this counter-attacking style of play. So I think if Amadou Onana gets his head up and tries to pick out Beto in behind, I think that's definitely where we could hurt Manchester United. And as I said there, Beto's unpredictability, you don't know what you're going to get with him. And I think having him start from the very first minute rather than coming on with a little cameo with 20 minutes to go, I think he can maybe impose himself better on a game. We've not seen him really in an away performance, in an away start since Brentford in September at the back end of that horrible run, that horrible start to the season. So I think I'd like to see Beto up there and just see what he can do. But that is all for the Starting 11 show today. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on this Starting 11 and what you rate our chances are at Old Trafford this weekend. But that is all. Thanks for listening. I'll see you in a bit.